Establishing UCC contract trusts. The IRS will use one, or both, of two types of accounts in processing negotiable debt instruments by way of the Domestic Financial Institutions Treasury Tax and Loan Account, sometimes referred to as TT&L account, which is administered under the Technical Support Division TSD of the IRS through Chief of Special Procedure Handling at a Federal Reserve Regional Office, OR, through the UCC Contract Trust Account, which is processed through the TT&L account and administered by the IRS Analysis and Control Division, also under the Technical Support Division of the IRS. The process begins when a secured party presents a negotiable debt instrument to the Secretary of the Treasury with a copy of same stamped accepted for value a banker's acceptance of charging instrument presented for discharge of a debt discharge of negotiable debt instrument. This copy of the negotiable debt instrument stamped, or diagonally endorsed by hand, is a banker's acceptance of debt and becomes ratification of commencement a bona fide claim of the action by, and joinder to, the substitution, or subrogation of, the real party in interest by claimant's person in commerce, and such ratification, joinder, substitution or subrogation shall have the same effect as if the action had been commenced in the name of the real party in interest that cannot enter commerce. All UCC and Bill of Exchange documents are routed to the IRS, Room 1120, 1111 Constitution Avenue, NW, Washington, D.C. 20224 under the administration of Felix Sek. This is the Analysis and Control Division of the IRS. These documents are scrutinized by the Secret Service, the FBI and Justice Department. The Analysis and Control Division has stated that these are designated as UCC contract trusts. The UCC contract trusts are distinct and separate from direct Treasury accounts, which are used exclusively for trading in Treasury bonds that are administered by the Bureau of Public Debt. Many of the UCC and Bill of Exchange documents received at 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue, NW are misdirected to the Bureau of Public Debt. One major error is that many filers reference a Treasury Direct or Direct Treasury account in their documents. At the Analysis and Control Division of the IRS Building in District of Columbia, UCC contract trusts are processed and then routed to one of two IRS centers if it is to be used for discharge. For east of the Mississippi they are routed to Cincinnati, Ohio. West of the river they are sent to Fresno, California. Notices discharging IRS claims east of the Mississippi are also to be sent to Joseph Keogh, CSB, SPF, of the IRS in District of Columbia. West of the river they are to be sent to Gary Stair, WRM, SPF, Seattle, Washington. Current reports indicate that UCC files and paperwork are scrutinized by the Secret Service, the Justice Department, FBI, routed to the SID, then to the IRS Technical Support Division TSD in the state from where the secured party initiated the discharge. Copies of these documents are also forwarded to the Department of Justice, Tax Division in D.C. Here are some important details regarding the administration and function of the Technical Support Division. Almost every financial institution connected with the Federal Reserve System has in its register or has contracted access to an IRS account known as a Treasury Tax and Loan Account TT&L. The TT&L account in each financial institution is administered from the Technical Support Division office located in most state offices of the IRS. As a result of IRS internal reorganization, the Technical Support Manager TSM in each state divisional office of the IRS has been assigned the authority formerly assigned to the District Director. When a notice of levy, lien is presented to any financial institution by the IRS, usually by fax, the financial institution usually responds routinely by making a simple entry in their computer transferring the asset from the depositor's account to the IRS TT&L account. The asset does not physically leave their office. A few financial institutions do not have TT&L accounts. They place a 21-day hold on the funds and then forward the amount demanded directly to the IRS. Discharging claims in the public sector, bank claims, and with the IRS through the UCC contract trust can be accomplished by the secured party with presentment of bonded registered bill of exchange directly to the Secretary of the Treasury. When an assessment claim is made by the IRS or a federal or state taxing agency, the claim can be stamped accepted for value by the secured party and sent via certified or registered mail to the Secretary of the Treasury for discharge. See 3 paragraphs below beginning the number. These transactions all become bonded when they are processed through the Federal Reserve System and/or the Department of the Treasury. This action is documented and authorized through Public Policy HJR 192, Title IV, Sec. 401 of the Federal Reserve Act, the Supreme Court's Confirmation and Guarantee Trust of New York vs. Henwood, et al. 1939 and Public Law 7310. Such action is further confirmed in U.S.C. Title 12, Title 28, Sec. 1641, 3002 and the Foreign Sovereign Immunity Act. Those who properly file in their birth state or UCC region establish the distinct and separate identity of the secured party apart from the debtor straw man. Presenting that filing along with the instruction order chargeback, the IRS 1040-S form and the accepted for value stamped birth certificate notifies the Secretary of the Treasury that the secured party is now established with a prior, superior claim on all assets and liabilities of the debtor. The liabilities can then be presented to the Secretary of the Treasury for processing and discharge through the UCC contract trust. A written, contracted, acknowledged claim received by the debtor straw man can be accepted for value by the secured party and discharged when properly presented through the Secretary of the Treasury to the UCC contract trust on file with the Analysis and Control Division of the IRS. The number which becomes the UCC contract trust and the TT&L account number from a certified mail green card form 3811 showing the date of acknowledgement provides the secured party and all other bankers' parties with evidence that the Secretary of the Treasury has received the documents. If there is no written dishonor or return after 15 calendar days from the certified mail receipt date, then the transaction is acknowledged as not dishonored and now stands as pre-approved. These documents become the notification forms of credit for the bank. It is during this 15-day period that the UCC contract trust account of the secured party is credited and its equity is pre-approved for acceptance through the TT&L account. This credit step is in accord with and mandated by the Administrative Procedures Act at 5 U.S.C. 706. 15 calendar days from the date stamped on the green card returned from the Secretary of the Treasury, the secured party or the claimant is authorized to tender copies of the following documents to the processing bank: 1. A copy of the returned certified mail receipt, a copy of the negotiable debt instrument, a stamped copy of the negotiable debt instrument, and, in certain cases, a silver surety bond to be posted at the processing bank in accordance with CFR 31 at Part 203 to a custodial deposit account. Upon receipt of these documents, the bank is legally authorized to place a credit on its TT&L with the amount of the negotiable debt instrument, followed immediately by a debit to its TT&L account by the equal amount shown on the negotiable debt instrument. These credit-debit transactions are initially unfounded at this point, however, they pave the way for the flow of equity from the secured party's UCC contract trust account through the TT&L account to the bank. 3 previously prepared identical packages of documents consisting of copies of a copy of the return certified mail receipt, the credit-debit transactions, the stamped negotiable debt instrument, copy of the negotiable debt instrument, and the silver surety bond where applicable to the 3 parties of interest, 1 Secretary of the Treasury, 2 IRS Chief of Special Handling Procedures, and 3 Chief of Special Procedure Handling at the Office of the Regional Administrator of the TT&L account in the bank's registry are then mailed out by the processing bank. The bank transmits each package in a way that provides legal dated proof of receipt dates for each of the 3 document transmissions. On occasion, a 4th copy may be required to be sent to the Secretary of Transportation through the Maritime Ministry's administration. 15 days after the last receipt comes in, credit from the UCC contract trust account already authorized by the Secretary and the Technical Support Division, funds flow through the TT&L to the bank's holding account. The bank will receive no written notice of credit. If there is no objection, rejection, or dishonor from any party at interest within 15 days after last receipt, then the credit that is already on the bank's ledger is authorized as approved and irreversibly funded. This is in accordance with and mandated by the Administrative Procedures Act at 5 U.S.C. 706, Federal Banking Regulations, the Supreme Court decision in Hollenbeck v. Limert, and the Erie and Clearfield Doctrine by congressional and presidential approval. With the expiration of the hold period, the bank's equity is cleared and validated by electronic extraction from the secured party's UCC contract trust account. The bank must then promptly transfer this equity to the account of the claimant or that of the secured party for the intended purpose to discharge the claim or place into an investment account. The basis for this process is an obligation that the United States has bound itself to and provided statutory law supporting. The Supreme Court decision Guarantee Trust Co. of New York v. Henwood et al. 59s. Saint 847-1939 proved that all the above is in effect. Those in responsible positions at banks cannot lawfully deny, dishonor, or delay the processing of such valid negotiable debt instruments that are properly submitted for a legitimate purpose. Such negotiable debt instruments constitute valid legal tender. Observe that the process operates entirely under the purview of the Secretary of the Treasury and the Technical Support Division of the IRS. Neither the Bureau of Public Debt nor the United States Treasury itself is involved in any way nor at any stage of this process. Also, bank alert notices referring to the Bureau of Public Debt of the United States Treasury do no apply to this UCC contract trust negotiable debt instrument. Therefore, banks cannot lawfully discriminate and deny the processing service of valid negotiable debt instruments to their depositors on the basis that they are not interested, not set up for it, unfamiliar with the processing of negotiable debt instruments, or the opinion that all negotiable debt instruments are the same. You see, they are licensed and bonded to do the job they are contracted to do. All is under contract law. Since 1933, the United States has accepted these non-cash accrual exchanges as a matter of law and equity. HJR 192 PL 48 at 112 and 7310 are still in effect. Other public policy directives and the Supreme Court decision Guarantee Trust Co. of New York v. Henwood et al. 59s. Court 847-1939, show these negotiable debt instruments as public policy remedy for the removal of gold and silver coinage. Properly tendered negotiable debt instruments place subordinate public officials to the Secretary of the Treasury in a position where they must then legally acknowledge and accept the Secretary's authority and the validity of these instruments. Those in responsible positions at licensed financial institutions cannot lawfully deny, dishonor, or delay the processing of such valid negotiable debt instruments. Banks are private corporations, but they are also quasi-public as evidenced by their involvement with FDIC, TT and L tax accounts, government CDs, and operate under the authority of federal banking regulations. Therefore, banks cannot lawfully discriminate and deny the processing service of negotiable debt instruments. Caveat: be informed, any actor, agent, or fiduciary who delays, restricts, or otherwise prohibits the movement of a negotiable debt instrument in its lawful progression destined to, or for, the holder in due course, secured party, or claimant must show cause why a contempt charge should not issue against him, her in his, her, their true character, or suffer the consequences of said action, or lack of action. It is noted that said actors, agents, and fiduciaries are subject to the self-executing regulations of the 3rd and 4th sections of the 14th Amendment, whereby their offices are vacated and their salaries and retirement benefits are extinguished when they do not perform the duties and obligations of said offices. Established in 1933 under H.J.R. 192 and exercised by actors, agents, and fiduciaries of every commercial transaction by commercial banking institutions since that date with the abrogation of the Gold Clause. Damages equal to double the amount of the negotiable debt instrument under civil action or triple the amount of the negotiable debt instrument under admiralty jurisdiction. The contempt charges would be based upon U.S.C. Title 15 Sections 1 and 2.